The next principle we're going to learn is specify format. And the reason why it's second is that giving direction usually gets you most of what you want, but not necessarily in the right structure. And that's what we're going to learn in this session. So we're going to start with our prompt that we finished up on with the last principle. Just going to paste this in here. And you can see we have write a blog post on prompt engineering in the following writing style. And the writing style you got might be slightly different because these things are not deterministic. There's an element of randomness, but they should be pretty similar. And this was J.K. Rowling's writing style, but translated into a style guide so that we're not just copying. And you can see here we said vivid, imaginative world building, strong character development, intricate plots and subplots, themes like friendship, loyalty, and courage. And it is taking those instructions and then translating it into this new type of story. You can see here it's came up with a mystical land of Verba, the Mount Imagination, River of Thought. So it's gone pretty crazy here, and it makes up a new story here about someone called Eleanor. And we have different chapters. Each of the chapters is only one paragraph. That's something we're going to have to solve at some point as well. But you can see here that it has some sort of structure to the story, which is helpful. And it's going through in individual chapters. But what happens if we don't like this structure? We've got this whole blog post and it's not necessarily in the structure that we want. So we're going to use a little technique here called least to most. And what that means is if you're doing a bigger task with AI, instead of doing the whole task straight away, instead you ask it to do a top-down approach to the task. We're going to ask it to create an outline first and then write the post. So just going to copy across this, and it's the same exact prompt, except instead we say outline a blog post on prompt engineering, then write it in the following writing style. And we're going to see what it comes up with. Now, this helps for two reasons. One is you can check its thinking before it starts writing. So if you don't like this structure, you can actually just hit stop and then ask it for changes. But also, it actually makes the response better because you're giving it more tokens to think. Just like a human, you've asked someone to tell a joke, it probably won't be that funny. But if you ask them to say, spend 5 minutes writing down a joke and then tell me a joke, it's going to be much better. Same thing for AI. If you ask it to write down its plan first and then follow the plan, it's going to perform much better than if it doesn't plan at all. So we're going to hit stop here because we don't actually want the structure. This is using the classic 5-act structure, and what we really want is a more explicit hero's journey. And this is something you might have picked up from if you went to film school or if you're just a fan of films and you understand there are different types of structures to stories that you can use. We're going to ask it to use hero's journey specifically. So I'm just going to open up a new tab here and then paste in and then hit enter. And now we're asking it to do something slightly different. So we're dictating the structure it's going to use. We're asking it to outline the blog post on prompt engineering using the hero's journey framework, and then also in this writing style. And we have additional instructions here just to get it to the point where it can actually output in the structure. So this is something I had to go back and forth on until I found, and I've asked it to be in table format so we can much easily see what the structure is. I think that's better than the bullet points. And then we're asking it to relate the plot points of the blog post to each stage of the hero's journey. You can see here that we have the stages of the hero's journey, which if you know about it, like this lines up to what Joseph Campbell wrote about, and it's come up with the structure of the blog post, and it's come up with the characters, but it's got the exact plot points. Now, if you wanted to, you can actually then go back and change that outline if you want. You can go back and change a few different things, and then you could paste that back in and say, okay, follow this template instead. So if you don't like the name Alex or Morgan, or if you want some sort of different ordeal to happen, you want to give it some direction in that space, now you have the structure that you can do that within. And this doesn't work just for text, it actually works for images as well. And if you think about format, where text is something like the hero's journey or how many paragraphs or whatever it is, but with images, the format can be what type of image it is. It could be an illustration, it could be a photograph, it could be an oil painting if you want it. Typically when we ask it to create an image. We just say, create an image matching this blog post. It's going to come back with some sort of illustration because it's DALL-E, or a computer generated type looking image, like it looks like something from a video game, in my opinion, because that is the type of DALL-E style. But we don't actually have to stick with that style. So let's just see what it comes back with, and then we'll change it. Okay, here we go. So this looks very DALL-E, right? Like it's like a computer illustration, like digital art. But that isn't the style that I wanted. I wanted something that looked a bit cooler, has a bit more gravitas. So I'm going to ask it instead, I'm going to say, create an oil painting on faded canvas that matches this blog post. And we're going to see that the results look very different. And we're not changing the style of the illustration necessarily, but we are changing the format. An oil painting has a very different format. It's a very different manifestation of the image. And you could have the same image and the same style on multiple formats. You could have it on an oil painting canvas, or you could have it as like a pen drawing, or you could have it as a sketch, whatever it is. The reason why specifying the format is so important with prompting is that it doesn't always guess the right format that you want. And even if you get the style right, if you don't have the right type of image, or if you don't have the right type of structure, it's not going to live up to the vision that you have.